Knowify can make it easy for you to quote time and material contracts to your customers. To get started, click Add New Contract Job, give the job a name, choose a client, and then select Cost Plus/Other for the contract type. You'll note that this automatically sets the job costing style to Advanced. This will be so you have a phase for each different billing rate that you associate with this time and materials contract. We'll also set a job address and start building the contract when we click Save Job. The initial setup fields will just be for data that will be displayed on the contract document that you're sending to the customer, such as their name and your contract number. You can also include information about the estimated start and end date so they have an idea of when you'll be getting to this work. And you can include a project description that will just include an overall scope of work beyond all of the lined out deliverables that we'll be adding when we add the different billing rates. Then, to get started adding the actual billing terms of the contract, we're going to add a new deliverable. You'll see that you're given a couple different options. In this case, we'll start by just adding a time and materials deliverable. This will be for demolition, and again, since we're using Advanced as our job costing style, this will create a phase of the job called demolition as well. In the first field, we'll ask if you want to provide the customer with an estimated total of hours and materials used. We'll cover this later on in the video. But first, we're going to set our billing rate for how much we're charging the customer per hour. Since we've chosen Universal as our billing rate, the hourly rate will be consistent across all users. However, we can also choose Resource, where I can choose individual employees and select the rates for their specific hours on the job. We also have the ability to choose Role, which will let us choose different types of employees as opposed to different specific employees from the list, and then each different role can have an hourly rate set as well. The default rates pull from your admin section but are always editable. Next, we'll set the billing rate for all of our materials and purchases that we're going to be sending to the client. When we click Yes, we write in our markup, then any materials added against this job will automatically be billable to the client at that marked up rate. Now we have one deliverable for demolition, but if we have separate rates based off of separate types of work we do, we can click Add New Deliverable again, add another time and materials deliverable. We'll call this deliverable Installation. And then we'll be prompted to fill out this form again to set out the separate rates for all time and materials associated with the cost of installation as opposed to our demolition. Aside from the ability to create time and materials deliverables, we also have the ability to add other parts of this contract as well. For instance, you can add fixed fee items, recurring fixed fee items for things that will be billed over certain time periods, such as once a month or once a week. And the variable option will be for billing by individual units if you have a custom setup like that. For this, we'll set up a fixed fee for the sake of example. We can include a signing fee that won't be associated with the time and materials aspect of the job. It'll just automatically be invoiceable to the client regardless of our cost. You see, we have the option to invoice this as due on signing, due on completion, or invoiceable on percentage of completion like our fixed price contracts. Once these are in the system, we can also copy our terms and conditions from our admin section, and this will generate our contract that we can send to the customer right through Knowify. These contracts, like everything else in Knowify, is customizable if you put in a request with our support team. You'll see it automatically includes each deliverable and the rate that we're requesting for them. Again, just like our other proposals, you have the ability to email these to your customer and get a digital e-signature on the response. When the proposal is sent, the job will be marked in your contract jobs page as out for signature. Next, we'll cover how to send a time and materials contract to a customer while also including an estimated total aside from just the rates that you're invoicing. We'll create our deliverable. We'll call this one painting. Only this time we're going to choose yes for the first option in this form. You'll see that this activates additional fields, so we're no longer just quoting a rate, but also an estimated total number of hours and materials used by the end of the contract. For time, it's just an estimated total number of hours, But for materials, you can also include an estimated list of materials and how much you'll end up charging at the end of this. Keep in mind that none of these estimated totals actually affect your invoicing or how the project is run. It's just information that you put in there to tell the customer more about how much they should end up spending by the end of the project. Since this is a time and materials based contract, the only way to create items to invoice to the customer is to create time and materials as your actual cost against the job. Once we're done filling in this information, we'll preview the document to see what this looks like. Unlike the contract we created earlier, instead of just showing the rates, we'll show our estimated quantity and our number of hours to create a subtotal to give the customer a better idea of how much they should end up spending by the end of this project. Again, none of these hours will be directly invoiceable until you actually submit everything against the cost of the job. And just like earlier, we'll be able to send this out to the customer for digital e-signature. And also, if you're ever entering a contract that's already active, you can click Make Active and it'll switch it without the client signing off on our digital e-signature form. If you have any other questions on this, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at support@knowify.com.